Welcome to the whitest house. Slave souls haunt the halls when the light is out. Except the blood of the poor and the way they mouth. The last gasp of a world that is dying out. Welcome to the whitest house, where every room is a tomb that they lie about. Where you can put your filthy feet on the finest couch, and for the right amount, you can even buy it out.
The essence of your entire political identity. You might be a white supremacist.
Peace. Welcome again to our latest episode of This Week in White Supremacy. What's happening over there, twins? I mean, I don't know. We just started, Miracle. What is going on in Wonder Twin Land? Is it the happiness? Just you two are back together again? Is that
I had to come back and reclaim my property since everybody want to keep twinning up and hanging out and stuff. So, you know, how to come back and get shit right.
Absolutely. Oh, is that nice?
It's coordinated.
So did you all want to introduce yourselves?
Are you going before we're going first?
Oh, yeah. I probably should introduce myself, right? Jasiri X, co-founder, CEO. See, I was so caught up in the twins, boy. I'm telling you, like, it's like when, like, what's the group that broke up and came back together?
Peaches and Herb.
Brother, I don't know.
So
Peaches and Herb?
Come on.
What? Wow.
Yeah, that's not ringing any bells for me.
Okay, maybe when Wu-Tang got back together, I don't know. But I was just caught up in the twins coming back together. I'm Jasiri X. I'm co-founder and CEO of One Hood Media, and we're joined by the twins, of course.
I'm the whip.
Obviously, it's dinner time.
Yeah.
Is it dinner time over there?
Yeah.
Yes, we got chicken. We got.
Can we pass a no eating during the podcast rule? I mean, is that
last week? Wasn't that the week?
Is that?
It's like a haterade is happening.
I'm just wondering. I mean, I'm just figuring like you have to talk, and it might be a problem if you got a chicken all in your.
Who was saying thing or was that fruit? Was that you?
Oh yeah, mukbang episode.
Which is what?
We just eat during the whole. Everybody.
Oh, we ate during the whole episode. Okay. Would it be? Is it chicken? Does chicken make it blacker or more white supremacist? The fact that you're eating chicken.
Like IKEA?
I mean,
is it better?
Yeah.
Y'all can eat your fruit and your pecans and the fruit. People can eat what they want at the mukbang.
We're not
right, and
happiness right now. That's what
wow, that was good.
What'd you say?
We're not policing black happiness.
Oh, we're not policing black happiness. Okay, got you. Mr. NLS, what's going on there, my brother?
Or black.
I will never like supremacy. One Hood's hippie and head teaching artist. Here to do what I do. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So, I mean, it is a lot happening and a lot kind of just went down recently. I guess we can kind of
like it's been a wild day already.
It's been we could do like today in white supremacy and pretty much have enough to talk about for the entire episode. I guess we should maybe start with Elijah McClain. Elijah McClain was a young man, the violinist, who was basically, again, when you talk about policing blackness, walking down the street just being black, but he had a mask over his face, I guess a ski mask on because it was cold outside. This is in, I believe, it's Aurora, Colorado. Am I correct in that? And not only was he, harassed by the police for nothing, but he was eventually killed by the police. He was given some type of tranquilizer dose by the paramedics. I believe. What was he given? It was like a well-known drug that he was given. Did you all know?
Diazepam. It was I can't remember.
Ketamine. It was ketamine.
There we go. Ketamine.
It was ketamine. And so today, 3 officers and 2 paramedics, and mind you, the officers were not initially fired. Remember, the officers ended up not being fired until.
It's not wild.
Right. I mean, unfortunately, it is what it is. But the officers didn't end up being fired until. I guess some like interview that came out where they were just, didn't they go back to the scene of the crime and was like playing it out, like laughing and joking about this young brother's death, and then they were fired. But now the 3 officers and 2 paramedics have been charged by a grand jury in Elijah McClain's death. Just because you're our legal correspondent, Miracle, I would like to start with you. Don't look at me like
I wasn't doing that. Oh my God. No, I did not have, I was not looking at you. I promise. I was trying to tweet out and tell people to come and.
Okay, got you. So what, and Miracle, just coming to you, we are coming off of Chauvin being found guilty for the murder of George Floyd. Could this be some type of turning point? Do we believe that these people will be found guilty?
Yeah, because they got the paramedics too, and that was, to me, was like the shocker, because usually he did charges that they can like easily prove about them being derelict in their duty and refusing to help. And it's very ironic that Elijah is no longer here because he was wearing a mask. That was the reason that they stopped him. And now not everybody, and now it's so normalized to wear various face coverings. And so, yes, I think that we're starting to see the turning point. I think the turning point is that these politicians who are elected actually feel like they have to do their job now. And that people who are home are actually paying attention. There's no way you could watch that video and just like go home at night and be like, oh, it's okay. These people are still on the job.
And he was autistic, correct?
Yes, and he did what he was supposed to do. He explained his condition. He explained why, he was talking differently. Was like, please, and the fact that like all these people keep dying, begging for their lives and begging for this white state to see their humanity is like the most tragic part. But I would say if you haven't watched the video, don't. And if you are someone who understands what's happening, understand that people playing the violin in honor of Elijah got tear gassed by the police and got more violence set upon them by the police while these officers were at the protest taking pictures and basically supporting each other, celebrating this murder. So I'm very happy. I think we're seeing a turn. And again, whenever police do not shoot to kill, I think we're going to start seeing more prosecutions, because that is what the continuation is. It's easier to say, oh, this was a justified murder when it's a police shooting, but when it's people being strangled, people being drugged, that's when it's easier to like prosecute these police officers.
No, you make a great point. I just want to bring up, because you had mentioned the charges, and that they were charges that were easily proved. And so it says that all of the people were charged with manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide. And then that 2 of the officers were charged with second-degree assault with intent to cause bodily injury and 1 count of crime of violence related to the assault charges. And 2 of them, I think the paramedics were also charged with 3 counts of second-degree assault. So I think that you make a great point about the level of charges, because I remember when Michael Nunn killed I forget the brother's name. He's playing his music too loud. Jordan Davis, and they charged him with like first-degree murder, and a lot of people talked about the prosecutor overcharging, and then he was cleared of that charge, and then they brought it back and they were able to charge him, I think, with second-degree murder, whatever. So I think I just wanted to bring that up, because I think that's a brilliant point, that these aren't these excessive charges that they can prove they are beatable. These are charges that pretty much can be proven. There is videotape, like you said, and so the hope is that they will be found guilty. But like you said, it's interesting that with the shootings, like you said, you can kind of explain it. I fear for my life, whatever. But if you're holding this young little autistic boy down and then like sticking him with ketamine or injecting ketamine against his will, that's there. What gray area is there with that? You know what I'm saying? So I want to come to you, Farouk, and then you, Trouble.
We need to have a discourse about excessive force. because the state of policing as it exists now revels in indiscriminate violence against Black bodies, right? And this is tantamount to so many different circumstances of Tamir Rice, of Antoine Rose, of Sandra Bland, of these unnecessary forces of violence against Black people in fear for their lives. That's what we face now in North America, just abroad, policing as a violent state against Black people. White supremacy tied in with that is these officers going back to the scene of a murder and celebrating it. That's fucking disgusting. Like someone lost a child, right? Someone lost a child. A child was murdered. There's no. Why is that cause for a celebration? Do we have the same celebration and pomp and circumstance for school shooters? No, we don't. So why will we go back to an area and have joy around the termination of someone's life? It's wild to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to, like you said, like this idea that like our humanity. I mean, this is why we're saying Black Lives Matter. You know what I'm saying? Because we have to show like our humanity. Because the only reason you do that, the only reason you would go and kind of laugh at this child's death, this is also a child, you know what I'm saying? Like, is because you will want to, you don't consider that child's humanity, and thus us having a chant Black Lives Matter. Trouble, you had your comment.
Yeah, so I feel like there should be more intensive screening for police officers, because there's no reason why officers with this attitude of glee towards killing an innocent Black life should be hired to protect and serve people they don't even fuck with. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's a shame when I feel unsafe to encounter any officer of any race because of the notions that they may have about me and my deservingness to live. It's like, if I don't feel safe in the presence of the people that were hired to protect and serve civilians, we have a very dire problem,
Right. And it's not just police, brother. It's also these paramedics, because I didn't know, I'm going to be honest, I didn't know that these paramedics could hold you down and drug you against your will. I did not know that they had the authority to do it. And ketamine, I know ketamine from like people, this is like a drug, like a club drug, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I remember being in the club and somebody like, yo, you want some of the K? And I was like, K, what? And they was like, oh, that's ketamine. That's like a horse tranquilizer. That's how it was described to me. I was like, oh, no, I'm good, homie. You can take that to the other side of the club. So like the idea that a paramedic, while you're handcuffed has the right, like, do you know if I'm allergic to anything? I mean, they're not communicating with him in this manner because he's almost passed out. He's throwing up, but yet you're just going to hold this child down and then inject him with drugs. I didn't even know that was an allowable thing to do. And the fact that to me, that's crazy. But that's also, again, like you said, goes back to your point, Trouble. What screening process did you go through if that's the first thing you're going through? This is, you're talking about a police officer supposed to serve protect. What about a paramedic? Like, you should have been trying to treat this brother, because he had just been choked down to the point he was losing consciousness. But yet and still, you're like showing up as like a cop paramedic and trying to make him more docile, and then you end up taking his life. Farouk?
I have said this before on this program, and I say it all the time. Police need to be held to a higher standard and more accountability in the judicial system. There should be harsher sentences. There should be a specific implementation of the what's the justice is what I'm looking for. What's the word I'm looking for? Not habeas corpus.
I was not listening. I'm not
going. How you not listening to a podcast you want?
Yeah, I know.
I'm
done. I'm off my
Matter of fact, I was not. Y'all are so extra. It's the light skinnedness. First of all, I wasn't cussing you out at the very beginning. And he actually has his keys and stuff here, so I guess we're just gonna be here. So, but yeah. And your mask and your book bag and all that stuff and your jacket.
Miracle, one real quick question. Do you think, I kind of know your answer, but I'm gonna ask anyway. I just feel like it's my duty to ask. Right now you have I think it's the George Floyd Act or the Justice and Policing Act, whatever the act is that's on the floor of the House and Senate right now in terms of police responsibility. Do you think something like this will maybe encourage folks, or when Congress opens back up after this summer break, to take policing seriously and this George Floyd Act maybe seriously?
I think it will encourage Congress to do so, because they obviously don't want to see a lot of police prosecutions now start popping up. But I don't think it's going to change in the long term, because we know what's going to happen are these police unions are going to start advocating for immunity. And was very important, because we've been hearing a lot about how police officers are resigning in mass. And there was a report today that said, actually, that's not true. Like, the police are just as powerful, as prominent as they've ever been. And so it's very important that we keep pushing, because we have the George Floyd Act, but we also have the Breathe Act as well. That does a lot of the stuff. And so we just need to keep pushing until we have, this abolition in place.
Absolutely. And I think, along with that, pushing for the end of qualified immunity. So like now, if you're not personally responsible, like now this lawsuit, and you can actually sue these individual police officers or these individual medics, maybe people make a difference, or it affects some of the choices that they make. I'm gonna stay with you, Mayor. Go ahead.
Just imagine something. We all work for the same place right now. Okay. Qualified immunity.
What do you mean right now?
Well, I mean, I was just saying, like, I'm jumping to conclusions before you die.
She get fired, like, before she even gets home. So
you're going to jump to conclusions and end up out a window. Like, come on. Qualified immunity for these officers is what's allowing them to just, like, do all this shit. Like, except when it comes time for a black officer to participate in the same activities. We've seen this in Minnesota. We've seen this in so many instances where we've seen black officers be scrutinized, victimized, brutalized, and harassed by other white officers in the middle of doing their job in uniform. We've seen that at the Treasury. We've seen this in certain things. We've seen this at the Capitol. Right. All this Blue Lives Matter shit, all this qualified immunity doesn't apply to us. But what this qualified immunity does, and what's important about the George Floyd Act, what's important about this legislation around police officers, is ending indemnification from basically allowing them to kill with a license. We're holding punitive damages. Now we're looking to see real recompense. We're looking to see consequences. We're looking to see actionable changes, because police officers have murdered so many people, and at this point they're murdering white suburban teenagers also. And that's the thing. That's why we're getting legislation. That's why.
Well, it's interesting you brought that up. I was going to go someplace totally different, but you once you introduce the black cop, I feel like we have to go to, Ashley, is it Babbitt? Ashley Babbitt. And for those that don't know, Ashley Babbitt was the woman who was...
Make her to a martyr. I ain't trying to hear that shit.
I mean, I already did it. But Ashley Babbitt was the woman who, was told not to break into the chamber. Remember, when everybody rushed in to the chamber January 6th, you had congressmen and women senators that were inside of this chamber. They didn't know what these people were going to be doing. So they were told not to come in. Ashley Babbitt, who was I think she was an Air Force something. She was a military person, ignored the warning, went into the chamber and was shot and killed. And so all of this stuff happened with Trump, right? Trump was coming out saying she was a hero. Nothing should ever happen. And now all of a sudden we want to police accountability. And so I think Miracle might have been the first one. And I think it was on this show that kind of said, this officer is black. Like, this is a black police officer. And sure enough, we were wondering why Donald Trump was so emphatic about this officer.
Was from the jump, was like, this nigga black. This is a black man that killed this white woman, and we are gonna. How many weeks did you say that shit?
Wow.
I'm upset that she was right, because I was like, damn.
But now I think about it, it's like, okay, the FOP did, like, everybody was just like, Fuck that cop.
Yeah, they
Yep. No one came to his defense.
They had their all white meetings. It was like, so what we not going to do?
And after, just like you said, I still haven't seen any members of the FOP or any cops jumping up to defend this black man. So just a little background, he broke his silence this week. His name is Lieutenant Michael Byrd. He said he opened fire only as a last resort after the rioters failed to comply with his commands. And really, he was almost like forced to reveal himself, right? Because Donald Trump was threatening. We know who he is. We know his name. We're going to let y'all know. So like, he kind of like had to come out on his own terms. But does this, you had something to say, Fru?
Think about that. The former president of the United States of America is such a troll that he's doxing people. He's doxing people.
Cops. He's doxing cops. Police officers. What the hell?
What a fucking year. Everybody thought 2021 was going to be so much better.
I did.
More entertaining, maybe, but
I thought it was going to be better.
Like, think about that. Imagine if Obama would have did that shit.
I mean, come on, bro. I mean, well, we saw what happened. Obama, saw, his friend, Henry Louis Gates, professor, longtime, well-known professor at Harvard, get arrested inside of his own home. Henry Louis Gates was like, this is my house. I live here. And the cop arrested him in his own home. Obama said that was dumb. And Obama had to do a goddamn beer summit. Like the president of the United States and one of the most senior professors in Harvard University had to sit down with some part-time cop nigga. You know what I'm saying? Excuse my language. In the White House. This is how white supremacy works, right?
And this is
two Harvard graduates, one who's the president of the United States, but because they're black, they had to sit down with some cop who messed up in his job. You know what I'm saying? So we already saw how that went down, Farouk. But like you said, white supremacy allows Trump to just call this. He's never called anti-police. He's never called anti-American. These folks can wave a blue flag while beating cops with, but American flags. This is how white supremacy works.
On the line for this black cop. Where's the blue wall of silence or the blue wall of protection for this black cop? You know what I mean?
So I'm gonna let you finish chewing, Miracle, because I'm gonna come to you, and then I'm gonna come to Treble. I saw you mid-chew. I just want to warn you, so you won't take another bite, Miracle.
You know what I notice every week on here? I'm glad I'm not self-conscious. My nose is big as fuck. Like my nose is like an upside down black power fist.
But your nose is, brother. Your nose is.
Cupcakes.
That's anytime somebody question your blackness, just point, hey, bro, like, look, come on, bro. You already know what it is.
Hey, bro, you can smell the bullshit from a mile away. You know
I smell very well. I smell everything.
Yes.
Look at these nostrils. I smell well.
So again, Miracle. Here we have a black cop. I mean, Farouk broke it down, right? Black police officer, white woman, right? Military record.
25, 30 years ago.
Again, do you see any possible prosecution of this police officer, or will this maybe be an emphasis for the Justice of Policing Act or whatever? Will this cause them to unqualified immunity so they can make sure this black man pays? Or, they're already turning Ashley Babbitt into some martyr. How do you see this playing out from a legal perspective?
I mean, I don't see anything happening legally. Maybe if the GOP wins the presidency next term. What I do see is a switching and a co-opting of protest movements by white conservatives right now. And it's very weird to watch. Like they are talking about my body, my choice. When it comes to like mass, they're talking about civil liberties and freedoms. When it comes to critical race theory, now they're talking about state violence and actions. When it comes to like these police officers having the ability to like arrest people, for causing disruption at the school board meetings. And I think that's what we're seeing. And it's weird to me. It's weird. Like it's like really weird to watch. Like people are organizing strikes if they have to get vaccines and wear masks at work and now. And it's just like watching this conservative co-opting of radical black actions is very weird. I don't see this officer because I remember there was like a video and he was literally giving commands and she was literally breaking and had just like breached the last barrier.
And she comes from the armed forces, so she should know how to follow and comply.
She's an Air Force veteran, right?
I mean, no, but like literally when he shot, I believe had they broken through that wall, they would have been able to fight some elected officials.
Absolutely.
So he like now had that been near he, we would have had multiple bullets and we would have just been like shot up like a rag doll. But like he did try, he gave multiple commands, all type of stuff, and again, people over property, but he's justifying his actions when it comes to ongoing felony active incident and a person is causing damage and refusing to comply after multiple warnings. So yeah.
No, absolutely right. Shot her in the shoulder one time. It wasn't like he opened fire. You know, we see, you know, in a lot of these cases of black people being killed by police, multiple gunshots. He only shot him once. I mean, that's a whole nother.
Reduce his identification upon request and was shot 41 times.
Right. We saw Sean Bell, 50 shots into the car. And so you're absolutely right. Your take on this, Trouble?
I feel like this is the reason we have to continue having conversations around equality versus equity. You know what I'm saying? Because these white people keep trying to co-opt these protests as though they've been oppressed systematically in the same ways that we have. And it's like when you look at it from an equity standpoint, it just doesn't hold the same weight coming from a mob of white people who are protesting because they're being told to give a fuck about people's lives, being told to stop being racist, being told to actually like hold their police accountable.
Right.
But now, and then you have us who are protesting because we're losing our lives for much more minor reasons. We can't even play our music too loud. We can't even be black in public. Can't even go for a jog. Can't even use a fake $20 bill. You know what I'm saying? Like the most mild shit we get killed for. But you want to protest around a woman who seemed to have very ill intent trying to break into this barrier, being shot down by someone who felt like their life was in danger and the lives of the people he was protecting are in danger. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's just, I feel like we just need to keep having that conversation.
No, you make a great point. I mean, you know, I'm old enough to remember when like you protested, it was like love it or leave it. It was like, if you don't like the laws of this country, then get out. Go back to Africa. Go back to your home country. Now all of a sudden this, I gotta wear a mask. Like, oh my God, like they're trying to take my freedom. Like, oh, this tyranny. And it's like, wait, what happened to love it or leave it? Like, go to one of these unmasked countries. I don't know if you can find one. You know what I'm saying? And so you're absolutely right. And we talked about that when we saw the Proud Boys doing their little chants that they're even like taking the Black Lives Matter chants. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, and since we're on this, you know what I'm saying? What's wild is, you know, a story just had came out that actually showed, you know, what the George Floyd protesters, the people that protested after George Floyd was killed, got in terms of like time, as opposed like we needed them to even do the report. Guess what? How the people who protested George Floyd's murder were prosecuted more harshly than the people who did January 6th. Oh my God, we can't believe it. We're so shocked. And so just to show you about equality and equity, even when we protest, even when you still like, you know, they took the protest and said, you know, forget just showing up with signs. We're going to show up with zip ties. We're going to show up with stun guns. We're going to show up, you know, armed. Somebody brought dynamite. Remember when we didn't even hear who did it. Remember somebody brought dynamite? And they were like,
they said cops lost fingers, bro. It's like, bro, when we were protesting for George Floyd, we were not blowing up officer hands. Bro.
No one. That's the thing. There was no violence attributed to any of the protests around George Floyd, anything black people organized around this year, except for the two white anarchists and antagonists and Antifa and all of that. That's where all that violence was linked to. That's just not me saying it. That's the DOJ. That's your local police department. That's your federal institution saying.
Bro, we saw it right here in Pittsburgh, brother. There's video of who lit the cop car on fire, and it was a young white dude. And guess what? Guess where that young white dude is right now? Home. He might be watching this show right now. He's home And guess what? Black people who didn't like no cop car on fire, guess where they are? They're in Allegheny County Jail right now from last year's protest. You know what I'm saying? Just to show how different it is when we protest. And that's why we have the show This Week in White Supremacy to let y'all know, like, this is what we facing, right? The mom who left her 5 children and went to, and left her husband and went to the protest is like the yoga mom and, get some type of glowing review. And it, yeah.
How can I'm asking for a friend?
What's FBI said? Let me see your phone.
Fuck them. I'm going to space. Shit. Fuck these niggas. Talk to me in space, nigga. When I'm moonwalking on the motherfucking moon eating astronaut cheese, nigga.
You're going to do the actual moonwalk on the moon? You're going to be the first?
Nigga, I'm going to be the first person on there. God bless Michael Jackson. I'm going to be on there eating astronaut cheese.
The way you drove that out, I was like, okay.
That's hilarious. So I'm coming to you, Miracle, again. And this was what I intended to say. Farouk kind of took us, but I mean, you took us in a great direction. I think we were able to link those together in a positive way. But also today, or I guess last night, Miracle, we saw this, there was an attack on Roe v. Wade. Texas, according to this report, Texas
fucking wow.
And ironically passed Texas passed 666.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
666 new laws.
What did you just say?
What did Kanye say? We gonna need Jesus. We need Jesus.
We need man doing contracts with me. Niggas can't read.
So you have a 6-week abortion ban. Can you talk about, because I did see, I think it was New Voices, shout out to New Voices PA, that said anti-abortion laws are racist. Can you just talk about, kind of like the white supremacist or racist dynamic to, overturning Roe v. Wade, how this impacts specifically Black people and Black women?
It impacts Black people because Black women have the highest maternal mortality rate right now within the country.
Was it 400%?
A lot. We're more, at least 3 times more likely to die due to pregnancy-related issues than our white counterparts. A part of this is the lack of investment and support of reproductive health. And another thing is the lack of physical hospitals and medical centers when it comes to reproduction. So we remember like Tree of Life happening here in Pittsburgh. And a part of that is this replacement theory, which believes that white genocide is happening and Black and brown people are replacing white people and white culture. It's parts, it's white people and white culture. So a couple of months ago, there was this study released talking about like, if you take all the people of color in the US and all the people who are Caucasian, they're in 2030, it's going to be equal. So white people will no longer be the majority. However, white people are still going to be predominantly in the United States. You just have to take and people to understand that. So what we're seeing now is a lot of reproductive laws we passed in place because they basically want white women to give them more white children. This happened in France, and that actually led to a lot of laws to curtail immigration and practices of Islam. This happens all the time whenever European nations and Western nations think that their white populations are decreasing. They pass all of these laws. The abortion bill basically says it's illegal for you to have an abortion after 6 weeks. Most people don't know they're pregnant until 8 to 10 weeks. It also gives you a $10,000 incentive to report people who to either seeking an abortion or performing an abortion. So basically, there's you can literally go and report folks and it criminalizes it. There is no injunction as the law of the land, so we're going to start to see a bunch of people go to jail, a bunch of get arrested. You're also going to start to see a bunch of people die because what people forget is that a lot of abortions do not happen at Planned Parenthood. The majority of abortions happen at OBGYN centers and doctor's office, because the majority of people who are getting abortions are middle and upper class white women who have health insurance. And now that's out of the question. And it's also illegal for you to cross the Texas state lines to get an abortion. Also, fun fact, you're now out of the 666, you're now required to play the national anthem if you are a pro sports team in Texas, and stand as well. So
stand?
Yes.
So what is that's punishable by law by not standing?
I don't know what they're gonna do. Probably pull somebody's tax shit. Like,
yeah, who knows?
I mean, a lot of these bills are passed to create this urgency, to create the stress, and to clog the courts and years of litigation, because it's like a long time grift. But at the end of the day, it's going to be Black and brown people who suffer the most, because the Planned Parenthood centers, the abortion providers who also provide medical health are the primary access points for Black and brown folks. And if those centers are shuttered, then that's more people who have to wait 2 and 3 hours, travel over 80 miles to get to a medical provider. And so we're going to see maternal health, maternal mortality rates increase in Texas until things change. The Supreme Court can still do some stuff, but it doesn't look like it right now.
What?
No, I mean, you go ahead. For
all the gentlemen watching this that have no idea what Miracle's talking about in terms of abortions, let's think about it like this. They made abortions illegal after 6 weeks. That means your girl missed her period twice. That's how long that is. So that's really no time at all. Secondly, think about Salem witch trials, and even more recent in the United States of America, the threats of alleged communism, turning people in. It's like, so a $10,000 reward for seeking an abortion turns into a witch hunt. Now you just get to accuse people, whatever. Like, you can say, oh, this woman, so-and-so, whatever. And now there's more violence against women, specifically Black women, all because of hearsay. Texas is wild as fuck.
I mean, I think you add that to, if you're over 21, you could own a gun in Texas with no type of training or no type of registration. They also passed a law to limit teachers from teaching critical race theory. It seemed like, you had made a point earlier when we in the chat trouble, that it seemed like they looked at all the current events and they were like, anything that's like a current event wedge topic, we're going to pass a law against that. Is that how you see that?
Are you asking me?
Trouble.
Yeah, bro. Texas is kind of like turning into that space where it's like they're making it very clear who they don't want in the state. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I have friends in Texas. I used to want to travel to Texas so badly, but now it's like I'm kind of cool off that. It doesn't seem like I'm too safe down in them parts. You know what I'm saying? Like, and on the abortion thing, I think it's really audacious for these white men in power to think that they have any jurisdiction over what a woman does with her body, to the point to where they're passing bills around it. You know what I'm saying? I just think that's like arrogant as shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But it's interesting. It's interesting. I never thought until you mentioned it, Miracle, that it would be attached to, because you just had the census come out, and a lot of the census said like, hey, America's getting browner and blacker. And so like that's one of those things where it's like, nah, we want, particularly white people, we want these white people to have these babies. We want them to have these children, you know what I'm saying? Because you kind of see the white population dwindling. That's fascinating, because that's probably, just like you said, these white men are thinking of it on that level. They're probably not thinking of it on who's an individual, but just like you said, it's your right, your body when it comes to wearing a mask. It's kind of wild, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah, it's your right when it comes to wearing a mask. Like they can't like make a school like they don't want the school to say, hey, you come into this school, everybody has to wear a mask. No, that's not allowed, but you can't get an abortion. It is wild to just see this thing play out and see like the level of like hypocrisy and like, twister moves that people have to get to try to justify their behavior.
Yeah, and people forget like abortion is healthcare because you know there's a lot of things that happen. But you also have to remember there is no requirement for actual sexual health and sex education in the United States, right? So if you're talking about you want people to be married and have healthy families, you don't talk about what sex is, you don't talk about what consent is, because if somebody gets raped and they have a baby, you know, that's a blessing and we need to have that child. But, you know, no, we're not also investing in health. We're not also passing legislation that's going to make sure that that people who are pregnant are going to be able to have healthy pregnancies. When you look at reproductive justice, and so we're literally to force people to have pregnancies, force people who, and I will say, I had a friend who literally almost died during their pregnancy, and we're told, our hospital is a Christian hospital. If something happens to you, you have to go to another hospital because we're not going to terminate your pregnancy here. And so a lot of these things are super.
Was this in Pittsburgh?
Oh. A lot of these things are like super wild and have like long lasting impacts. What happens now if, you know, someone is in a car accident and they're pregnant? What happens if somebody has a heart attack and they're pregnant? We saw with COVID-19 that these hospitals were putting people who are pregnant in a coma to save the baby. It was like, forget your life, we're going to save this child. So what does that mean for also for everyday medical situations that happen when people are pregnant? And now that we basically essentially have this personhood amendment. And then I think it was kind of funny. I was trying to get Farouk to talk about it, but he didn't. Was that like
I was talking? I don't want to interrupt.
But I learned today when we're talking about like Sharia law and all this type of stuff that like Islam is a religion that actually permits abortions, and that even in Judaism there are times when you're supposed to like seek an abortion. So when we're talking about now women in America are like women in Afghanistan, we also have to check our own bigotry and our own biases, because whether it is, you know, saying that these white women are now like slaves, or saying that people are now like oppressed like those in Afghanistan, we have to like making sure we're not dabbling in like anti-blackness and Islamophobia to like push and advocate for things.
Absolutely.
No, that's an excellent point. I'm glad you brought that up. Again, so another one of the other major stories happening, right? And it's so much happening. We, of course, obviously we can't get to everything, but one of the major stories was Hurricane Ida, and the fact that you had Hurricane Ida hit New Orleans, and it seemed like, I guess from where I'm coming from, that the whatever lessons, like we remember Hurricane Katrina. I remember Hurricane Katrina very clearly. I remember Bush flying over and kind of waving at folks, and Condoleezza Rice went shopping. I remember folks on top of their houses. I remember white folks were looking for food, black folks were looting. I remember all that, but it seemed like there wasn't any preparation since Hurricane Katrina till now. You didn't have like any preparation to evacuate people from what I'm seeing. The grid went out in New Orleans. They were saying like some people might not have power for months. Just what are you all general reaction to the wake of Hurricane Ida? And again, like, it's heartbreaking because you see people in New Orleans who we saw, a lot of folks live through Hurricane Katrina. Thankfully, we saw a lot of folks die having to do with this again, and almost feeling like New Orleans or Louisiana, like really didn't give a damn about if a hurricane hit again and what could happen.
I have, something I want to say about this, because I had seen something on social media where a lot of people are talking about the folks in Katrina and Louisiana and just all throughout that area in the Delta. Why don't they just move? Why, do you have that same energy for the white people in Tornado Alley? Why don't they just move? Some of these poor people don't have the resources to flee from a natural disaster, and their state is abject failure in not protecting them and not ensuring the safety of human lives. Where's the same conversation about the people in Oklahoma and Nebraska and Kansas and Tornado Alley that are white people that are too poor to leave those areas? Do you have that same conversation for them? No, you do not. The case about this is no different than Katrina. You are just allowing the natural disaster that is white supremacy to remove black lives at any time you feel it's convenient. That's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, you might have insurance. And I think you also mentioned, when you talk about grids failing, we saw what happened in Texas, where Texas was freezing because the energy, people couldn't do it. And, just like you said, I mean, but, we're going to have to, next time somebody protests a mask mandate, it's like, just move to a place where go move to South Dakota and get COVID all you want. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, go move there. Move to Florida, get COVID all you want. You don't have to wear a mask in Florida. Next time they have that same energy with there. Any trouble or miracle? Do y'all have any thoughts on New Orleans and in the wake of Ida?
I am surprised that they didn't have any plan put together, knowing how bad Katrina hit when it did. And it's like, you would think that, because I remember I was too young to know exactly what was going on, but I was old enough to remember how often I seen, the destruction on the news, people talking about what happened, how many people were, either lost their lives, lost their homes, or, just had to flee, and how disastrous that was. It's
right.
Like, you would think that after recovering from something like that, that part of that recovery plan would be to put together some kind of preventative plan. But here we are again, people still in kind of weird situations that could have been prevented with the plan. It's just weird. You know what I'm saying? It's very surprising to me.
I mean, I think it goes back to Farouk's point, right? If it's the ninth ward that most of the destruction happened, and it was about, Black people got moved out and we could just rebuild it with less Black people and more corporations and businesses. And I think that's what's happening. The developers and a lot of those people had insurance, could afford flood insurance. And so FEMA came in, was giving out billions of dollars. So a lot of people came up off Hurricane Katrina financially and benefited from it. And so if you were one of those people, why not have it happen again? It's just going to be more benefit for you.
Yes, and I feel like we're living in a real time Hunger Games, where we have all
be in your favor,
just volunteered as tribute, and we're just really seeing how much our government really hates us. But to that end, when we're talking about these developers, we also saw what happened in Florida with the condo collapse. It's not necessary. It's not even they're even building safe property for these white people or rich people to come and live in. They're still in this capitalistic system doing shortcuts. And we saw even here in Pittsburgh, they're talking about the condos up the street may not be safe. A lot of this stuff is happening, and so people have to realize we're all connected together. We all have to be able to survive and thrive together, or we're all going to perish. And what is going on for me, what I did not understand outside of the lack of support, what was heartbreaking was hearing the hospitals, what was going on in the hospitals, and saying we can't even evacuate hospitals because so many of y'all folks have COVID and all the hospitals are full. And so I think it's gonna be another week before we even see these death totals. And that's going to be sad. And I don't think we're prepared, but also I don't think we care anymore.
I mean, I think you make that was one of the stories that I heard, doctors having to manually pump the air into people's lungs because the electricity went out. And, those machines have to pump air, when you have COVID and intubated. So I do agree with you, Miracle. We probably won't find out. And it does really. I mean, America does feel like the Hunger Games right now. And I mean, especially, you look at, and I guess it wasn't going to be our Karen of the Week, but really, it probably should have been the Karen of the Week, where you had a brother who was reporting on Hurricane Ida in Mississippi.
That's so wild, man.
Just a Black man just doing his job, which is reporting the news, and a white guy pulled over and felt that he had the authority. And that's the whole thing about this Karen mindset is to me, it's this idea you look at us like we're your children.
Yeah.
You as a white person, a white man or woman, can just tell us what to do or give us orders. It doesn't matter our background. It doesn't matter our education. It doesn't matter our status. It's because you're white, you have the authority to tell me or give me instructions or what to do. And this white man, felt that this one black reporter was responsible for all of the misinformation about Hurricane Ida, and decided he was going to pull up. And
what misinformation can you give? It's a hurricane, it's a natural disaster. It's not like it's not happening.
I don't know. And it's not like,
are you telling the truth about what's happening?
Yeah.
It's not like this brother. It's not like and the brother and what was the brother's name? Shaquille, the reporter's name. Shaquille Griffin, is that his name?
Brewster.
Shaquille Brewster is the brother's name. It's not like he's like one of those weathermen that was out there trying to fight the wind, He's just trying to let folks know it also hit Mississippi. This is what's going on. But let's pull up the video of Shaquille trying to do his job when white supremacy attacks.
Segment.
And I believe Shaq's in Mississippi. Shaq, what part of Mississippi are you in, and what are you seeing?
Gulfport. We're in Gulfport, Mississippi, Craig, and I'll tell you the biggest sign, the biggest indicator that I saw this morning about the force of the storm last night is that the mail delivery has returned. We saw postal workers going out delivering mail this morning. Just a couple of minutes ago, people were walking their dogs. They're back on the beach right now, and that's the sense
like, don't you have a job?
The rain has stopped. The wind is still going there. I think we even have a random person going around. I'm going to turn this way because we deal with some people every once in a while, but
still professional. Look at it, brother.
The mayor said the curfew is still in effect. The
That's
curfew
black
is going to be
excellence
going on
Black excellence.
for, at least until a period of time in which they can go ahead and survey all the damage. They did get some reports of some down power lines, of some trees that have fallen, or at least limbs that have fallen. So they're going to go ahead and do that survey and make sure that they're okay. Craig, I'm going to toss it back to you because we have a person who.
This is my opinion.
Hey.
Hey.
Stop that.
Well, that's that. I don't know if that was the black dude, thinking about if that was him, you're not just gonna roll up on me like that, but just the audacity. So this white man's name is Benjamin Eugene Dagley. He's from Ohio, and he's been charged with two. He's been charged with 2 counts of simple assault, 1 count of disturbing the peace, and 1 count of violating an emergency curfew. Say that again.
Crazy ass Benji Eugene Dagley from down the road. Benji ain't got no goddamn sense.
Okay, actor.
His mom was his mom. We seen his mom on the farm with a couple goats. We don't know what's wrong with that boy. Something wrong with that.
Wait, hold on. It says court documents in Ohio showed that he had pleaded guilty to vandalism, inducing panic, and attempted assault stemming from a 2017 commercial break-in. He was sentenced to 5 years probation to go on. So he's also on probation right now.
So how's he out of state lines?
Did you see how the way he whipped that vehicle and just?
He did.
I want to know how he left state lines if he's on probation.
Hey, you know how they say pull up? He was like, oh yeah, pull up. Hold on, bro.
First of all, I just want to talk about that cameraman was not thorough.
No.
First of all, the minute he ran up there, that we should have seen, in the World Star videos when
we should have heard sound effects. That's all we should have heard.
100%. But I guess he was, because Shaquille kept talking. I guess he was trying to do the right thing. But yeah, and that's I guess maybe you got to have somebody with you. Crazy white people might run up. So Benjamin has not been arrested yet, but he has charged. So hopefully Benjamin will get thrown in jail again for another time. You know what I'm saying? For doing this wild stuff.
Again, I know people don't like education, but when I was in school, I learned the scientific method. And they were like,
find out.
That too. But it's also a very important step called the observation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if he just stood there, he would have listened to Shaq say, it's not that bad here. The stores are opening up. The mail, shout out to the post office. The mail is being delivered. He would have had his questions answered had he just followed the method. But again, I understand people don't like education, so everyone has a different struggle. However,
what kind of
in
education
the future,
we talking about? We talking about the good Christian education?
I mean, just the one that told you to just sit there and shut up and watch to see what was going on before you opened the mouth. And now look, foolish and stupid and about to go back to jail. Like, where did you?
And about to go back to jail.
Yeah, you were just all seen the movie White Man Can't Jump, And clearly they can't jump to conclusions either. You know
Oh, see?
Blah, 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 blah. Trouble getting busy. So I guess let's, and there's, it's mad stuff. We're going to have to maybe find a way. Maybe we'll, like, the stories we don't cover, maybe we'll post them on One Hood Media's Facebook page, because we didn't get to the sheriff who had to resign because he got caught with his KKK uniform. KKK uniform.
I want to know where they get these. I don't want to know. I know their parents gave them to him. But like, why do you get...
They're heirlooms.
Yes.
They're heirlooms.
But like, at what point do you say, you know what, let me not take a picture of this?
Well, I mean, you're proud. I think that's the thing. And this ex-sheriff was in Georgia. And he...
Oh, what you looking at me for?
Did I look at you, Miracle?
I did.
I was trying.
What's the second? You serious wants to have beef with me, and I don't know.
I don't know. For some reason, the article's not coming up. But he's in Georgia. Yeah, it said the photo surfaced in early 2012. Yeah, I mean,
but he's still living that life.
Yeah, but was he still a sheriff in 2012?
Yeah,
I don't know. But if you're proud to be a clan, he said it was for Halloween. He said it was a joke. Of course, remember the guy who put KKK, remember the chief that put KKK on the black dude's desk? Oh, it's a joke. It's like we don't find an organization who have a history of lynching and killing black people, like and terrorizing us and burning things in front of our house. We don't find that funny. That's not funny to us. Just like you should. Hopefully no one believes that dressing up as a Nazi or Adolf Hitler and going to some Jewish part, that's not funny to Jewish people, right? Because that Holocaust really happened. That's not funny. Dressing up as a KKK member, putting on KKK member, that we don't find that funny. That's not humorous. For all those white people that think, we might, and guess what? I know Halloween's coming up soon. We don't find blackface funny either. We do not find that funny either.
Culture is not costume. If you're not indigenous, do not be wearing headdresses. It's very simple. Don't be darkening your skin. Don't do it. Just you know what? Do a Disney character.
You got a whole this pick for that are culturally,
do
Nickelodeon.
You
know what I mean?
Be a Viking.
Be a Viking.
Yes.
The sinkhole. Just be the sinkhole bus again, y'all.
Oh, that was funny. Yeah, that was funny.
So let's go to our white pages. Do you have our white pages today, Miracle? The Wonder Twins have the pages.
What's that say?
Today's.
I mean, I can't read this. It's a fucking paperweight as far as I'm concerned. I can't read.
One of these days they're gonna be like violence. So the book is Brown is the New White by Steve Phillips. So if you were very interested when we were talking about like reproductive health, what's going on in Texas, this is a really cool book about Steve Phillips. He is a political scientist and an attorney, and he's just talking about like the history of like whiteness in this country, but also how it impacts policies and politics, looking up into the 2016 election. So this is a little bit dated. This was basically after Hillary lost, but it's a really, really good book and has like really important conversations and like historical analyses that are timely.
Yeah, and I think like
yes.
Okay. Yeah, and just for the politics, I mean, it's right on time for us because on Sunday,
what's popping on Sunday, y'all?
We are having the One Hood Powers fall campaign kickoff this Sunday. So we do have an election coming up here in Pittsburgh in November, really all over the country, but special to us in Pittsburgh. We have an opportunity to make history by electing the first. Oh, what was it? What was that?
That was white supremacy.
I don't know what that was, but come through this Sunday between 12 and 4, and we just announced it today. We do have a keynote speaker, Desmond Meade. He runs an organization in Florida, helping to get particularly folks that were formerly incarcerated. They helped to get voting rights for formerly incarcerated folks in Florida. Him being one of them. In 2019, he was named one of Time Magazine's People of the Year. Desmond Meade. So he's going to come and talk about how they're organizing folks from the hood, folks from the community, formerly incarcerated folks, into a political force of power, which is what we're trying to do here in Pittsburgh as well. So that's this Sunday, right up at Highland Park. Come into Highland Park. We're going to have food, Caribbean vibes. We're going to get our Caribbean on. We're going to have a DJ, and candidates will be there. If you want to get to know one of your candidates, we will have masks. So even if you don't have a mask, you can get a One Hood Power mask. We're going to have all that stuff for you. And then also this Friday, you want to tell them what's going on this Friday, Trouble?
Yes, indeed. So this Friday in Oakland at the Veterans, what is that called? The Veterans Pavilion.
Yep.
Yeah, we have. So One Hood is performing at 6 p.m. at Petonkatonk. Going to go crazy. We got some pretty dope artists. Yes, here's our lineup. Oh, this is dope. I was not expecting to see that. All right, let's get it. As you can see, we got some dope artists on the lineup. Come check us out. You feel me?
Yes.
What's on me is like, it's 2021. How do people still have bad flyers for events?
I mean, brother, I don't think there's a need. I mean,
the Lord finds us where we are, and
there have a plethora
to help people. You can pay us, and we will help you.
Here's a question for everybody.
Your promo.
Here's a real question. What is everybody's favorite cheese?
I like Munster, and I know it's like
that's weird.
My favorite cheese. It's good cheese.
Pepper Jack. Come on, there's nothing.
It's a fantastic cheese, but
Pepper Jack is the number one.
Pepper Jack is your favorite cheese, but I can't like Munster. Okay.
Feta is mine.
I'm not sure.
Feta's dope. Feta's dope.
Feta is like, to me, the superior cheese.
You guys have beef with me this whole entire episode.
Who has?
Your friend.
Oh, Munster is Munster's good. I mean, it's a weird tasting. Munster's cool.
Yeah, Munster's good.
Do we need to have a healing session? Did I do something wrong? Just tell me.
Absolutely not. Okay. So why don't we do real quick? Okay, because somebody just said we should listen to a bunch of self-hating black people. We know them. We know all those people. We don't need their perspective. Like, we know they self-hating black people. But I guess there was a black person that tried to bring a new fashion style to the table.
No, hold on. Let me.
No.
I was gonna talk to
Carol, what's the play? Oh,
Can we pull that picture up, John?
Wait. We're on positive. Since he was doing his accents, we'll let the people know he's the actor.
Is that what it was? Oh, okay. I just thought, because two things we didn't do our Terry Crews of the week, and we do have this picture of this new fashion style, and I did wonder what y'all thought of this new. Will y'all go out?
When is the play?
The Rivers don't know.
Are y'all rocking nooses? When
is the play?
The 10th of September is the press opening. 11th September is opening night, and we will be running to the 19th.
What's the
Miracle? People are trying to read. What is it?
Don't know.
They're trying to be a nuisance in our nooses.
What is it called when you repatriate something? What is it called, Miracle?
Pittsburgh
No time.
Miracle is ignoring me. Hey, Miracle. Shout out to Woogie. Pepper Jack is and stuff. So somebody said, Miracle,
you're not moving against me, and you still owe me chocolate and a cheesesteak.
Miracle.
I know you're not in the comments moving against me, Woogie.
Miracle, question. A black pastor that I follow compared this fashion style to wearing a cross.
What?
Send him on. Yes. First
he asked, how is this different from wearing a cross?
Come on.
That does make sense, though.
Jesus died on a cross. A cross was used to kill people and torture people.
Well, the Klan burn. Let's say it, Pastor. Bring him on. Bring the pastor on.
Isn't that a graven image? Shouldn't you not be wearing crosses anyway?
I'm just telling him.
Idolatry.
Of course, everybody said that they were against, and this is, our Cherry Crews of the week. This is the, we're not going to wear this. I don't know who this is.
He's trying to.
All right, we can take that picture down. But somebody did say,
Pastor. See, the serial obviously having those friends. And I thought he was about to say something different.
I thought the pastor. I thought he made an interesting point.
Correct one.
All right, so
they teach the slaves and they couldn't read, but told them to become Christians. Come on, somebody. We need to.
All right. So last thing, we did almost forget our black excellence. Why do we always forget black excellence? Somebody said put him on downtown. I bet you Kanye will rock one of those nooses.
My grandmother and have my pastor uncles be praying for me for the next hours. I was just joking. I can't.
So the last thing, our Black excellence, almost forgot our Black excellence. We can't forget our Black excellence. Today is the 50th anniversary of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Shout out to the Pittsburgh Pirates. All Black lineup. They were the first Major League Baseball team to have an all Black lineup. You know what I'm saying? Every position, including pitcher, catcher, was Black. You know, there were some, you know, it's interesting because I think they said the catcher, you know, because he was didn't identify as Black, but you in America, brother.
Yeah, well, Manny Sanguillen's from Panama, and it was at that time it was just a different discussion.
Right.
You know, like Afro-centric ideology really wasn't present down there, but that doesn't mean they didn't have words for the darker people. It was just a different relationship to what Blackness meant in the States.
Absolutely.
And I think the first person
to tell people they Black, like,
I think the person that put him down with that was Roberto Clemente. Was like, yeah, nah, brother, you Black.
yeah. Especially in Pittsburgh, brother, you Black.
Yeah,
welcome to Pittsburgh.
You know what? That's so fascinating that they did that because you know you look at the city now and it's like how.
Yeah, it is. Wow, it is. Well, you know, I think in the 70s, just like you said, there was, you know, more Black people, was more opportunity. It's a much different city now than the 70s.
And I would say this, you know, as much as I loved him as a baseball player and even as a philanthropist, one of the main reasons that Andrew McCutcheon was so accepted in Pittsburgh is because he went to a white church. He married a white woman. He did a lot of white facing shit that made him a lot more palatable in the public eye, because we all know how they feel about Black athletes here. You know what I mean? Black head coaches. We know how it is.
We know how you feel.
AB treatment.
Who? Andrew McCutcheon?
So, like we said, I know I was talking over it, but, you know, Farouk's acting debut is also September 11th. You know, get your tickets. They're free. Support that. And then also, you know, until tomorrow, 12 o'clock, catch us Friday at Batonka. Catch us Sunday at the One Hood Power Fall Campaign kickoff. And then, you know, we got some more stuff coming up for you very soon. So keep following, keep watching us here at One Hood Media. Until next week, One Hood, y'all.
Peace.
Slave souls haunt the halls when the light is out. They suck the blood of the poor and they wipe their mouth. The last gas of a world that is dying out. Welcome to the Whitest House.